All right, let's get to it. So we got the Beast stuff wrapped up, and directly behind the Beast, and I don't know if this was the original intention with Vera and whatnot, but we have the Secret Empire. Well, before we get super into the Secret Empire, we have a follow-up to the Juggernaut, which from the Amazing Adventures from Beast, when he fought Juggernaut, Juggernaut like faded away into old madness, got sucked back into the portal. Well, he's back. So, in Incredible Hulk 172, Hulk is captured. And then he's sent to Cybertrek's like Ruby Realm, and there when he gets sent there, Juggernaut gets pulled out, and then he smashes the prison, freeing the Hulk, and then they go on a rampage and escape. But then the Hulk catches Juggernaut being a total asshole to some like random people on the street, and Hulk's like, "No, that's not okay." So they fight. Hulk eventually wins and wanders off. Juggernaut, who's lost his helmet again. He wants to keep fighting, but then Marvel Girl, Cyclops, and Professor X show up and blast him real good. They also mention that they are here in this, like the Southwest, to recruit Alex and Lorna to help find Angel, because Angel got picked up. This is like the lead-in to the Secret Empire, which the Beast has spent a lot of time on, and then kind of just dropped to do that preamble of like his to give us like the his origin story again. And also that they need to go look for Beast. So that leads us directly into Captain America and the Falcon 172, 73, 172, 173, 174, and 175, which is like the Secret Empire arc. And this is one of the early forms of like a crossover event, which are way too common over the last like 20 years. But back in like, I don't even know, 1970s, this was like a kind of a rare thing. And we literally have the X-Men and the Captain America Falcon from their book combining forces to take on the Secret Empire. So in 172, Cap and Falcon run and they're fighting a guy. They get kind of beat up. And then they're able to escape his goons, and they bump into Banshee. Hey, you remember Banshee? Banshee is also in hiding. And because of this misunderstanding and him thinking Captain America might be working for this organization and us not really knowing exactly what's going on at this point, they fight. And Banshee's able to win, and he takes off. And then Cyclops comes over to help. And Marvel Girl and Captain America get caught up by Marvel Girl, who brings them to the Professor. And then they find out that the group that is hunting the X-Men is the same group that's kind of chasing after Captain America and the Falcon. And so they joined forces. That leads us into 173. This is where we really get like a lot of information about the Secret Empire. There's all these guys, right? We had what was her name? Linda Donaldson, who's like number 9, right, from the Beast comics. And we have, I'm assuming Vera has something to do with this, but like again, it got completely dropped in Amazing Adventures, so who knows where that was actually going. But the Secret Empire has captured Beast, they captured Iceman, Angel, Alex, captured a whole bunch of people. And so at this point, Captain America and Sam, the Falcon, are like, yeah, they're hunting us too. We got to figure that out. Blah 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 blah. And then Nick Fury and the Howling Commandos show up, and so they fight them off. And that's where we learn that if you had not been following the Beast, that the Beast got captured because his girlfriend betrayed him, Linda Donaldson, and she's a member of the Secret Empire. So then they come up with this kind of like way to trick her into getting Captain America and Steve Rogers and Sam into the organization by having Cyclops attack Linda Donaldson, and then they, acting as like hobos, come and rescue her. So they do that, and then they're approached the next night by number 9, who's Linda Donaldson, who tasks them to stealing some sort of gyro, which they do. But also Captain America is Captain America, so he leaves a note saying that they're going to bring it back, and it was Captain America. And so when the guards try to like shoot at him, the guy who runs the organization is like, "Hey, don't do that. Captain America said he'd bring it back." So then the X-Men kind of follow. That leads us into 174. So Professor X tells the Captain America that they're gonna. So what I forgot was Captain America and Sam. They bring it back. They get indoctrinated into the Secret Empire. They go into their base and they get put down into a room. Then in 174 it starts off and they're kind of like, well, they got us trapped in this room like a prison or something. And then Professor X is like, hey, they're coming to get you. They're going to ambush you. And what you got to do is you got to sneak out of there right now. And then we got to go rescue all the mutants. And so some of the mutants that we now see are like the Brotherhood of Mutants. So we see Unis, Mastermind, Mesmer, the Blob. And then Captain America and Sam start fighting. everybody. So they escape, and then they try to like rescue the mutants and do stuff, and then all these like Secret Empire guys come out, and they start wiping the floor with them. And then number 68 gets called out, and he brings the Atomizer, and which knocks out everybody. All right, so then okay, yeah, they met up with the X-Men at that point too. So then it's Cyclops, Jean Grey, Professor X, all of them get knocked out and then dragged off. Like supposedly they're dead, so they're like burying him down in the basement. But then it gets like the guy running the Atomizer is actually an agent of Shield, and there's Peggy Carter. She's here too. They both infiltrated the Secret Empire, which this organization is apparently extremely easy because everyone wears these like Cobra masks. Like if you think back to like Cobra Commander, but then the guy who's like in charge of him with like his like cloth mask from back in the day, that's what it looks like. It's almost like not quite like a clan, like a Ku Klux Klan thing. They have like a funny pointy thing at the top. It's more, it's like Cobra Commander, kind of like head dressing thingy that they're all wearing, and then like full robes, like nobody knows who anybody is. Anyway, so hooray, we're back. And so Captain America and the X-Men, they break out, take control of this ship that's flying around because the Secret Empire team leaders flew to DC to announce that they were going to be victors. And then there's this like guy who's the guy who beat up Captain America before, who's supposed to be like the new Captain America because he's protecting America, and Captain America went rogue and all this stuff. He comes out because he's part of the Empire, wanders on the ship, comes out and says, well, we can't beat him. We might as well join him. But everyone's like, "Rah, rah, rah." But the Captain America does show up, and he beats the shit out of him. And this guy's name is Moonstone, if I remember correctly. And then he also beats the shit out of number 1. So then the X-Men free their mutants, and they beat everybody up, and everything's great. And then Captain America sees number 1 running off towards the White House, and he's like, no, I got to stop him. And he gets there, and then he sees, supposedly, like the president of the United States, who's actually running the Secret Empire. And Captain America's like, why would you do this? You're the president of the most powerful country in the world or something. And he's like, that's not enough. I want complete control. And then he shoots himself in the head. And so then Cap comes out, and Falcon's like, yo, bro, you good? And Captain America's like, no, I am not. And this is where Captain America stops being Captain America for a while. And he becomes the Patriot or something. I can't remember exactly. It's been a while. All right, so that's Secret Empire. Good stuff. So now, you'd say the X-Men are reunited, but au contraire. Beast goes off to continue doing whatever Beast stuff he's doing. That leads us to Marvel Team Up number 23. This is just like a fun Iceman / Human Torch adventure where they just like they fight some guy. It's Equinox. His name's Equinox, the human something. Thermodynamo. Yeah, I think that's what it is. And they fight him, and he's trying to steal this thing so that he can stop himself from blowing up or something. But then he blows up, and Iceman and Human Torch give each other a high five. The important part for the X-Men continuity in this issue is that at some point the rest of the X-Men, who are now Cyclops, Angel, and Jean, are like, hey, Bobby, we got to go. Professor X has like an emergency situation for us to go take care of. And Bobby's like, hold on, I want to hang out with my friend first and go on an adventure. And they're like, okay, cool, just don't take too long. We'll see you when we see you. All right. So whatever secret adventure they were going on, they're on that for the Defenders number 15 and 16. Now, the Defenders are interesting. It's a team that the most notable characters are Doctor Strange and the Hulk are friends. And then we got super hot Valkyrie, not the one from the universe, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, who was terrible, but like the good Valkyrie, Brunhilde. And then not Hawkeye, Nighthawk, that's his name. And Nighthawk, that's the Defenders, at least in this iteration. Defenders kind of come and go. The Hulk and Doctor Strange tend to be like big members of that. And then if you saw like the TV show with the Daredevil and all that, they call them the Defenders, but I don't know anything about that. This is the Defenders I'm familiar with. Like when I think of Defenders, I think of Doctor Strange mostly, but also the Hulk, they're like best friends forever for some reason. Anyway, in number 15, Professor X contacts Doctor Strange and Hot Valkyrie and is like, hey, there's an emergency, but the X-Men are already doing some secret mission for me that we mentioned in Marvel Team Up number 23. So they get the Hulk, and they meet up with the Professor, and they head off, and there's a monster. Oh, no, a big monster, and they can't harm it. And then Professor X is like, no, it's an illusion. Oh, if there's a big illusion here, what could that possibly mean if the X-Men are involved? Ruh-roh, it's Mastermind and the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. And not just Mastermind, it's Magneto! It's Magneto, Unus, Mastermind, the Blob, and Lorelei. Lorelai's the Siren Lady from the Savage Land who could, like, possess men's souls or whatever, right? Which should be a big problem because you have Valkyrie here, and she's a hot woman, so whatever. Anyway, so Magneto like his new plan is that he's creating this like perfect mutant so he can assure mutant dominance. And he got the idea from the Avengers because of the Vision, I think. And so he beats up on the Defenders. And then he recalls that after the Avengers beat him up, they placed him in a trap. Because if you remember in the previous like collab video or crossover video, once the Avengers beat Magneto, they were like, "What are we gonna do with this guy?" Like, I don't know. So what they did is they put him in the center of the Earth, and he was trapped there for a month or so, however fast this stuff goes. But then a comet was flying through the sky, and there was like a crash of some sort of alien technology, and he used that to pull himself out. Very good. And then he used that technology, and he was able to construct this device which create the mutant for him. And then he talks about how and then he went back to the Savage Land and got Lorelei, who he mentions being very fond of while like patting her back. So they're clearly fucking. And then so the Professor X uses his mind powers because his telekinetic powers are also apparently electronic, sort of, and that frees all the Defenders. And then they attack, and they're able to subdue all the evil mutants right before Magneto releases the Alpha Ultimate Mutant. And this Alpha thing looks like a big Cro-Magnon kind of thing. And Magneto collapses the cave on itself, and then Alpha, who is impenetrable, like the Hulk runs up and he like pushes them without any effort. He teleports everybody out of there. So Doctor Strange can't teleport them out because he's not powerful enough or something. So they just Hulk their way out of there. And also, Hot Valkyrie uses her sword to bash through the rocks. But anyway, they get out, and Professor X tracks down that Magneto is in New York City. So they head that way. Meanwhile, in New York City, Magneto is going around and he goes to the United Nations, declares that he's going to rule the Earth. There's nothing he can do about it. And then Alpha lifts the entire like UN building off of Manhattan Island into the sky, where he's going to rule. At some point, Doctor Strange and the Defenders, Professor X, using Doctor Strange like invisibility magic, are able to get into this building. And then they try to fight this, but Alpha just like destroys everybody. He turns the Hulk into like metal. He gets Hot Valkyrie attached to the ground. He like beats the shit out of Nighthawk, and then Doctor Strange is about to fight him, and Professor X is like, "Hold up, look at him." And so, as the more Alpha has been using his powers, the more like evolved he has become. Like his brain keeps getting bigger, and he looks more normal, like a regular human, and then he looks more like alien, like a superhuman, kind of like a Dr. Manhattan type character. And then Professor X is like, "I want you to look at them and look at us and tell us who's the good guy and who's the bad guy," because he's fighting the Defenders because Magneto told him he was the bad guys. But now he's got a lot more intelligence, and Magneto's like, "Don't do that. Listen to me." And then Alpha's like, "Shut up." And so then he pulls everyone into like a separate dimension where he can like weigh their hearts against feathers or whatever, like a Anubis. And he determines that Magneto and the Brotherhood of Mutants are spoiled children, and then he turns them into babies. Meanwhile, he's like, "All right, well, this has been fun and all, but I am so far evolved past you humans and mutants, I'm gonna like peace the fuck out. So maybe someday you look into the sky and you remember me." And then he like sails away, sail away. While Professor X and Stephen Strange like look on and don't really comment. So, oh goodness, it's around this time that Beast joins the Avengers. So I'm not really going to get into that. My whole policy is, unless something directly has to do with like the central X-Men continuity or existence, or like they're heavily involved in like a crossover, I'm not really dwell on it. That's why I really haven't dwelt on Quicksilver or Scarlet Witch, even though they are mutants and they are related to the X-Men and they come in and out of the X-Men. Particularly Quicksilver leads X-Factor for a while. So I think in my previous video I said Beast comes back for X-Force, but I think it's X-Factor. Yeah, it is X-Factor. Because X-Force is like the future. It's like a not Generation X. It was the other one. Like the New Mutants becomes X-Force. Yeah. So it's X-Factor. So, but eventually Quicksilver runs X-Factor like in the 90s, I think, or early 2000s. Anyway, so yeah. So just an introduction. The Avengers are like down a lot of men because Wanda and Vision are like off on their honeymoon, and somebody else like left. I'm trying to remember. It's been a while. But so they put out a call for superheroes to join, and they get like Moon Knight. They get a Dragon Moon. Moondragon, something like that. But then Beast shows up, and Beast is like, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" And like, "Oh, we're trying to get heroes to join the Avengers." He's like, "Can I apply?" And so he starts applying and running through like their hoops and all that stuff. And then guess who shows up? The Stranger. That's right, that Stranger from like X-Men 4. And he's like an army of robots. And so they fight, and then they have to go fight him some more. And then Beast becomes like an auxiliary Avenger for like 12 issues, I think. So this is like Avengers 137 or 136. I think it's 137 is when Beast like shows up to the Avengers team, and it's not until Avengers 151, I think, that he becomes an official member of the team. But he's an Avenger this whole time, so I'm not going to dwell on it. And there's, if it comes up in the like this is in the process of like the new X-Men and whatnot, when if story stuff with Beast is related, eventually it comes back to like the X-Fold more. But he spends a while as an Avenger, which is cool and good for him. But I'm not going to cover all that shit. Just like I don't cover other guys who like nope out and then come back. Namor is another one. All right, cool. So yeah, that's all the crossover stuff. Next up is going to be the 3-issue Wolverine Hulk, and then we're into the Uncanny X-Men return with second generation. Excellent. Cool. So thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, and comment, and I will catch you all later.